friend of about 10 years, Joshua Billman, as a guest on this second episode. So, this episode is why friendships can be hard with ADHD. I do have my notes here because I have a bad memory. But, yeah, again, Joey Billman or Joshua. How do you want to be
You
called?
can just call me Billman for this.
Billman,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Next time back. Oh, my
Dude.
God.
Oh my god. Oh.
So for those at home, we have a cat. Well, Josh has a cat. Bowman has a cat, and he really loves. He loves tripods for some reason. He chews on the metal and chews on the wires, and so yeah, he just tipped over our main cat.
Tipped over the wires.
Now I want to get real about this and how it plays out in real life, and so I'm gonna go into our kind of story and our journey with me having ADHD and him being neurotypical. And I feel like there's no better person to talk to than someone who I've been friends with for about a decade now. We've been friends for a long time. We met in band of high school.
Middle school.
Middle school. Anyways, what were your first impressions?
First impressions of you?
Yeah.
My first memory of you is you had your little like shitty Android phone. Like this like super, I don't even know what brand it was. It was like one of those really shitty like droids that when like Android first came out, and you just watching the Gmod Goku Vanos video on the music stand. And I was like, I love that video. and that is my first memory of you. Because like that was just something we had in common is we both like Vanos.
Yeah, we did like Vanos.
And
you got me a shirt for Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas shirt, and I wore it a lot over the next like 4 years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I used to make it a big point to get all my friends Christmas presents.
Yeah. Over the years, how have you seen me progress? I mean, like ADHD or not, just like.
Seeing you progress. Well, I mean, you've become much more of a like functional human being, I'd say. Not that you weren't in like high school or middle school, but like when you were on Adderall in middle school and high school, it was like it was a lost day. You know, there was nothing productive happening in the classroom that day. I mean, to be fair though, like also much lower stakes. Like if you just don't pay attention in middle school or high school for a day, nothing matters, right? Like you can there's nothing that you can't make up at that point.
Yeah.
At like our level of intelligence, there's like nothing you like miss in high school or middle school that you can't just learn later.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and actually funny they mention that because a lot of people with ADHD actually they don't get diagnosed because they do so well in school. Okay, I don't know if you were aware of that.
Yeah, like Jake.
Yeah, Jake.
Like our friend Jake, he's a genius, and he didn't get diagnosed until what, high school?
I don't know.
I think it was high school.
Yeah, we have a friend named Jake who is like the smartest person I know, and often intelligence can lead to us not getting a diagnosis until it's too late, really, until we realize that something's wrong, and it can affect our day-to-day lives. So over those years, what has helped you to better understand me?
To better understand you?
Yeah.
Well, just like more exposure to ADHD. I remember like I was exposed to it a little bit through Ian, who's like like a family friend of mine, right? But I kind of just thought he was like weird or different. Just being like an ignorant like kid.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that some people just like can't focus like you and Ian. I thought y'all were just like whacked out or something, you know? I thought y'all were just kind of wild.
I see. So when you met Ian at a very young age.
Yeah.
And so like what were your experiences with that? I mean, that was your first experience. Did you know he had ADHD when you guys met?
I mean, we had been together. We had been hanging out since we were like kids, right?
Yeah, okay.
I don't think when we first met, because Ian's also pretty intelligent, so like it it doesn't come across, but then there are like certain things you pick up in like his habits and like what he does that I feel like makes it more obvious. Like,
Can you go further into that?
because I never sat in a classroom with Ian, right?
Okay.
But like he would never stick to anything like too long. Like if we were playing a board game or something, like towards the end, he'd always start getting antsy, right? So it was more like stuff like that that ended up being what I picked up on.
Okay. Now you mentioned you've never been in a classroom with Ian. You have been in a classroom with me.
I actually have been in a classroom with
You've
Ian
been-
now that I
you've
think
been in
about it.
multiple classes.
Yeah, we've been in classes together. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
It's just the same. When in middle school and high school, when you weren't on like Adderall, it was just a non-productive day, like flat out. For you, at least. I don't.
For me.
Yeah.
I do think I kind of drug you guys in a little bit.
Well, because it was funny.
I'm a photon.
There was the class. Yeah. When we were in our engineering class, and you just said, "I'm a photon." Wee. Like, yeah, of course, we're all gonna love that.
Have you noticed any? This is a little bit more of a deeper one. Have you noticed any ways my ADHD has affected our friendship, positive or negative?
I mean, yeah, I think positively, I think I can be a quirked up white boy sometimes. And when I just throw shit at the wall or like saying funny things, I think we resonate well with that.
Okay.
Like we bounce off each other very well.
Yeah, especially when I'm off my meds, I can just
Yeah.
I can easily bounce back.
Yeah. I think when a more negative thing is like obviously when certain emotions you have, you are just like so stubborn about certain things, especially negative things. Like I remember in high school during pass-offs, or I think they were called pass-offs. Do you remember that? When like we would, for marching band, you'd have to play the music to prove you could play it.
Okay, yes.
And like you were struggling or something, and then you called them stupid, and I was like, they're not stupid. You just need to be able to play it. And you were like, that's stupid. Like you were just like so stubborn and unmoving around like that.
I think I still am stubborn. Like
Yeah.
right now, like even for the situation I'm in right now,
Uh-huh.
the job search, I'm still stubborn about like what kind of jobs I'm looking at.
Mhm.
I've talked to people and they've forced me to open up my vision on it all a little bit, and so. But I'm still pretty stubborn.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say you're stubborn about the jobs you're looking for. Sorry, wait. I just want to make sure it's the best audio experience possible. Sorry, what were we talking about?
My stubbornness.
I had another anecdote, but I can't remember it.
The question was, have you noticed any ways my ADHD has affected our friendship, positive or negative?
I mean, you've just been like really stubborn about certain negative emotions,
I see.
but then like when you're bouncing off the wall, it's kind of fun.
It is pretty
We have a good time, right?
It's always a good time. But you handled them both very well, so I would say you handle me pretty well.
I handle you. Well, like you also have to keep in mind like the background I come from.
Talk about that.
Like a lot of like mild autism
Mm,
and like schizophrenia runs in my side or my family's, right?
right.
So it's like I was genetically engineered to be a patient human being. I would argue.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. And I mean, patience goes a long way when it comes to people. I mean, not just people with ADHD, but people with mental health, mental disorders and stuff.
Mhm.
So I mean, I think you can agree very much to that, just from personal experience.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up around a lot of old people, right?
Okay.
And I feel like that's where the patience training started. Because when you're a little kid, you want everything now and you're bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
But then, like, growing up around such an older community, it was like you have to learn to take things like be patient, talk to people, not just demand everything there. And I think that was the start of my patience training. I think my patience training ran out in college when I started having to deal with a bunch of stoners. I think that's when,
Oh, I see. Interesting.
yeah.
I see.
But I think that made me well equipped for our friendship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, we've been friends for I don't know how long now, but let's lighten these questions up a little bit
Okay. Yeah.
before we go back. I like this question a lot.
Uh-huh.
What is something I do that makes no sense at all, but you've learned to like just accept it?
Well, I mean, I used to think the egg thing was weird,
What egg thing?
where you crack eggs and then put them back in their carton, and then put them in the fridge.
See, but that's something that people do.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
I think it's more of a Mexican
That's
thing.
more of a me thing, I guess.
Yeah. You live in a white household, that's why.
I think a white household. I think like the way you spend your money is interesting to me. I mean, that's just interesting to like learn about the way everyone spends their money,
I would say I'm pretty frugal when it comes to money.
except for certain things. Like, why'd you buy the what's that pre-workout stuff called? G Fuel.
No, it's not G Fuel. What is it?
Gamer subs.
Gamer subs.
Why'd you buy gamer subs?
Because I wanted to try it. Well, okay, no.
Well, that's not something someone very frugal would say.
No. Okay, I bought it. So we were at a convention. I was at a convention with some friends.
Uh huh.
And I liked the way the flavors tasted. So they have the little tasting packets.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some like free samples. I was like, I like these.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I did put them to good use. I have a big ass like jug.
Yeah.
The only thing is, do you remember back in high school in band when you would mix one Gatorade with your water?
Uh-huh.
I like the subtlety of that. So I had this huge ass jug, but I'd only put one scoop for
Of gamer subs?
of gamer subs. One or two scoops when it's like a whole like water bottle.
Yeah.
You would use like one scoop for a whole water bottle, and I had a jug that was like 6 of these, and I put 2 scoops. So I would use it a lot, but not as often. So I felt like it was justified, but then it got to a point where it became all crusty and solidified. That was like,
Yeah. It started getting like humid and
yeah. So I feel like I did get some money's worth, but not the full amount.
yeah. You just spend your money in strange ways to me sometimes. Like, why'd you buy one of these nice microphones?
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Like, not before this. Like, when you were just building your computer, you bought like a whole XLR microphone with the stand and stuff.
That was kind of an impulse buy. I was at PAX East.
Uh-huh.
I will say, the plane was free. The hotel was free.
Yeah.
The actual tickets for PAX was free. They were all provided by a friend.
Uh-huh.
And so I had money to spend.
I'm not judging you for the trip.
No, yeah, and so I had money to spend. I saved a lot on the trip itself, and so I was like, okay, you know what? I have some money to spend. I want to buy some nice things for my setup. So I actually bought this mic and my mouse. I mean, you can't really see it. And a mouse pad. So
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was just money that I had, since a lot of the other expenses were covered. So that just kind of that kind of helps.
Going back to the ADHD thing, I was going to expand a little bit further about like how do I phrase this? If you're trying to do something, or like let's say music's playing and it's secondhand, it's like second priority to what's going on, right? So music's playing and it's second priority. If it's music you don't already know, you find it like extremely distracting and just either lower it to where you can't hear it anymore or turn it off.
I do that a lot.
Yeah. If it's music that you haven't heard before or you don't understand, then it just needs to go away.
I do that in your car a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll drive each other around, and like in his car, he had like I have my music that I listen to, maybe a little bit too much. Don't comment on that, by the way. And then he has his music, and sometimes I'll lower the volume on his car and be like, "That's too loud and overstimmed. Please stop."
Yeah, and it's funny because it's just music that you haven't listened before. Like, if it's music you already know, it's fine. But if it's something you haven't listened to before, then it messes with you.
Yeah. What's in Does that bother you?
I mean, sometimes, because sometimes I want to listen to music, and then you're in the passenger seat and you're like, I'm overstimulated, and you turn it down, and it's like, Well, I was kind of listening to that.
Do
But
I
it's
have
okay
anything?
because usually I just like slowly creep up the volume while you're not paying attention. And sometimes you don't notice.
Do I have any traits, any other traits that drive you just a little bit crazy, but you find funny as fuck?
I mean, you get pretty stir crazy sometimes. Like, it's no secret. I mean, I like to annoy you too. Like, sometimes I just run in here and I'm like, "Hey!" Right? And then, like, just to be annoying, right? But, like, I think when I do it, I only do it, like, once or twice. But with you, if you do it, it's like for a while. It's like repeated because it's like a mindset you're in. It's like I'll have my door shut and just be like spending some time by myself, and you'll walk in and you'll be like, "What are you doing?" And I'll be like, "I don't know." You'll be like, "Okay," and you'll leave. And you'll come back like 2 minutes later, and you'll be like, "Bro, I'm gonna do this for dinner," and I'll be like, "Okay," and then you leave, and then you come back and you're like, "Bro, we're missing this." It's just funny because you're just you're very stir crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what's going on in my head during those times?
What?
I'll be honest. A lot of times I just don't know what to do. I'm bored, and just I don't know. Like I feel like if I was alone, I don't know what I'd do. And so like with someone here, it's easy just to be like, okay, there's something I can do, and that's just bother the other person who's with me.
So wait, what do you do when you're alone?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Because you do something.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's just nice to I don't know.
Because I just yell anyway. I don't like even if no one's here, I still act crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been conscious about that. It's sort of like a sibling thing. You know, like you just bother your siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where right
Is
now.
that why your older brother's so desensitized to you
I mean, I think we're
when
all
he's playing?
desensitized to each other.
When I have never seen someone so unbothered when he's playing video games. He he gets down to just his underwear, sits in his chair, and holds the Xbox controller, and nothing else in the world matters. You could tell him anything, and
Yeah.
you would he would just continue on as if he heard nothing. You're a pretty good roommate. I've said it. I'll say it again. You're not. You're a good. You know why you're a good roommate?
I don't actually.
Because you have no ego.
What do
You
you
don't get like self defensive. Like I can say like, hey, next time wash the spoon before you throw it in the sink. And
mean? Oh, okay.
you'll be like okay. Versus like some roommates I've had in the past, you tell them that and then they get defensive and they're like, oh, sorry, I was gonna use you again, or something. Like that's a bad example. Another like a better example is like
See, because look to me.
previous roommates I've had, right? Like, say there's food in the fridge and it's been there too long. And, like, I confront them and I'm like, hey, you should probably eat this or throw it out.
Okay.
You would be like, okay.
See, because
Some people I've lived with in the past would get defensive about it. They'd be like, I'm just going to eat it eventually. And I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, I'll eat it. And it sits in the fridge for a couple more days and then the fridge smells like shit.
I mean, to me, like that's all like constructive criticism. Like I know I have ADHD. I mean, obviously that's what. But like I know that I'm gonna mess things up and like not. I'll forget things. You know, I'll do things wrong here and there. And so like for me, it's kind of like okay, this is an ADHD thing. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. And so when someone like kind of tells me things like that should be quote unquote normal, then I'm like okay, this needs to be like happen next time.
Yeah, you have no ego, and that's what makes you like a good roommate.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you recall any times? This is gonna be more of a deeper one. Do you recall any moments or times you didn't know how to respond, or felt confused about my behavior?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this quite a bit is like there's some like ways that you and I think of things that are just so different that like I can't understand. Like one we've talked about previously is women, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think like your ADHD has a lot to do with it cuz I think you kind of have like an all or nothing mentality, which like I don't think is good. I think, when you're first meeting someone, it should be like low commitment. You should just be feeling things out. There shouldn't be any strong feelings either way. I think that's like a big like different way we think about things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. Because it's not like, it's not that different where there's been times. I think we process negative emotions very differently. I don't really know how to expand on that though.
No, and like that makes sense. I know that like, oof, I can get in my head sometimes. And you get especially now that I've been here, you get caught in the crossfire. And I mean, sometimes you do help where it's like, hey, get the fuck out of your head. Come on, let's go.
like recently when I was like, when I was like, hey, I'm going to McDonald's. I'll get you something if you play Mario Kart with me. You remember that?
Yeah,
like that's one thing where I was just messing around with you. I was like, yeah, I'll get you something, but you have to play Mario Kart with me. And you were like, don't do that. You're like, you're blackmailing me. Don't do that.
Yeah, I was. I'll be honest. I was in my head during that evening.
And
you got me the shake anyways.
Yeah, I was gonna do it either way. I was just messing with you.
You got me the shake, and I didn't end up playing Mario Kart until like I was in your room just relaxing.
I mean, you joined later. Yeah.
I joined later, out of guilt.
Out of guilt, yeah.
Out of guilt. Well, that and I was like, man, I'm being such like a sourpuss. I'm being so negative. You know, let me just enjoy time with friends and have a good time. So
my favorite part about that story is how the next day, how we were hanging out with people, and you were like, yeah, Billman did this thing that was so fucked up. He offered to get me food only if I would play Mario Kart with him and his friends. Isn't that messed up? Our friends. Isn't that messed up? And everyone was like, oh my God, Billman's such a good roommate. And you were like, no, he was blackmailing me. And everyone was like, no, what do you mean? That was really funny because everyone immediately was like, wow, such a good friend. And you were like, no, guys, he was being mean to me.
More on that. So, because before we were hanging out with them, I was also in my head.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel like going out. And you walked in, you saw me on the couch meditating to some podcast I was listening to.
Those were two separate events though, because that happened when we went for the hike or the walk.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was
the me catching you meditating on the couch came later.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is time lost, by the way. That is something that's very common with ADHD. Is people lose track of time. I can't recall things very well. So I'm sure you can. You definitely know that.
Like you losing track of time or not?
Oh no, me not being able to recall things.
Yeah, I mean, we always joke around about the grocery store. I'll be like, "Oh, remind me about this," and then we just both end up forgetting.
Well, not even that, but like movies I've seen, songs I've listened to many times.
Yeah.
I can't recall the words. I've listened to Halsey so many times, but if you ask me to sing her songs, I wouldn't be able to.
I think it's funny because in high school we were listening to the radio and I knew all the songs and you were like, dude, you're a fucking jukebox. You're like, how do you know all these songs? And I was like, you listen to music. And you were like, bro, but like, you know so many. And it was just a really funny, like, I do remember that because it was just really funny to me at the time.
Was there ever a time that you took my behavior personally and then soon realized that it might be ADHD related?
I'm trying to think because there's very few times that you've been like antagonistic towards me.
Yeah.
Like there's only select few times where we've been actually like angry at each other. Like there's been a lot of times where we're like bummed out because something external is happening, but very rarely is it like an issue between you and me. Yeah. And I would argue that most of the time those things happened were when we were in high school. Like a long ass time ago.
Yeah, I would say we had a couple of issues.
Because there was one time where like I threw you against the lock. No, was that you or was that Cougar?
No, it was me.
Yeah, I threw you against the lockers because you were being really annoying.
Yeah.
And I just was having a bad day, and then you kept being annoying. And so I just shoved you against the lockers, and you were like, "Ow."
I think another time, and I actually, it's kind of funny to think back on now. But was it the New York trip where we were bunking together? And I think at like somewhere in the middle of the night, you woke up, and I guess I was asleep. I kind of like slapped your face, just moving around, and then you woke up and was like, "Hey, bitch," and just did that. I got so upset.
I don't even remember
Do you
that.
remember that?
No, I don't
You
remember
don't.
that. No.
Yeah, like you. I don't know. Like I was sleeping, and I guess I moved around and kind of just like had my hand on your face, and you like.
You know what? I do kind of remember that now. I don't remember slapping you and to wake you up, but yeah, at one point you flopped over and threw your arm out and hit me like right in the face.
Yeah, and then like you did the same thing to me, and I woke up and I was livid.
Yeah.
I held it on. I held on to that for the whole day.
I'll be honest with you, when I'm mad at you, I don't think of it as like this is Joey or this is his ADHD. It's just this is Joey.
Okay.
Like
So you don't tie those behaviors to ADHD specifically, but rather to me and knowing that I have ADHD.
yeah, cuz I mean, I don't know if this is like a good opinion to have, but I don't think like just cuz like I don't think blaming it on your ADHD makes it that much better. Like it shouldn't be like an excuse.
No, definitely not.
Like obviously I should be thinking about that and like considering that when things happen and like the way you act because it's just so I understand more about you and the way you think. But at the end of the day, it's still just like you know?
Right, right.
So like it's not like when something happens, I'm not like, "Oh, it's cuz Joey's off his medicine today." It's just in my head it's like, "Oh, it's just Joey being Joey," you know? Cuz
Well, does that include, like, you see me off my meds and on my meds? Like, do those like kind of combine into, oh, that's just Joey being Joey?
like do I think of those as like two separate personalities you have?
Yeah, sort of.
Um Not really. Cuz like while you it's true you act like very differently or you can act very differently, you also can act very similar. Like I don't like obviously it's like a range, right?
Right.
But like on or off there's like times where you were mostly just like and I think it's gotten better as you've gotten older.
Oh, for sure.
But like as you've gotten older, like the you being off your medicine and on your medicine, there hasn't been as much of a shift. Like when you were in high school and you were off, it was like immediately evident. But now you've like gotten better about like controlling it and stuff. So it's not I don't think of it as like Joey on or off his meds. I still just think of it as like Joey.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. What is the most classic ADHD moment you've seen me have?
Just all the funny stuff you've said. You've said so many funny things.
Jeez.
Like when we were talking about the condom that takes 4 hands to open. You remember that?
I don't remember the conversation. I remember like I remember the situation.
Uh-huh.
Well, no, I remember it, but not I don't at the same time.
Like just I don't remember I have it written down cuz I thought it was funny. But like you were like it takes 4 hands? How do you open it? And like the whole idea is like 2 people have to open it, right?
Uh-huh.
Like 2 people together have to open it. And you were like, how do they open it? You were just really confused and that was really funny. It's not really a thing anymore. It's more of like a meme than anything else.
Yeah.
And just like the funny stuff you say where like you're using my bullet blender the other day and you couldn't figure out how to turn it off and you're just in the kitchen like, Billman! Help! And there's like a blender going off in the background. Or when you're like, fuck, dude, I forgot to put my blender in the oven.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I think like those moments where your brain like just skips a beat and like you spit out the wrong words is really funny.
Is there any tips for anyone who has ADHD friends or family members or anyone that they know on how to like not deal really, but like how to traverse?
How I handle you?
Yeah, how you
No, I'm kidding. I mean, I think patience is key to like everything, right?
Yeah.
I think like you you as someone with ADHD, you shouldn't be like hiding behind that as like an excuse to everything. But like the people around you should acknowledge that like you earn like a little bit more leeway with them, just because like they should understand that you require a little bit more, you know? Like at the end of the day, it's just like it's patience and realizing that most things just really aren't that deep. Like if I'm just trying to be alone by myself and you keep walking in, it's not because you're like intentionally trying to annoy the shit out of me. Well, maybe a little bit, but like it's more of you're just trying to be friendly with me, right?
Right.
And like I think when you take a step back and look at problems that way or look at situations like that, you can kind of reframe your focus to like, maybe I am being like a little bit selfish by just like it's not selfish to want time to yourself, but like taking a step back and realizing that you just have good intentions and that like you're not trying to annoy me or anything. I think that's like patience and then realizing that like most of the time it's good intentions, I think is key.
Okay. So we've been friends for almost a decade, and we somehow managed to maintain it.
Somehow.
Yeah. And how like, what do you think goes into like what ADHD or not really like what do you think goes into just maintaining a friendship?
Well, I mean, you've like infected every family member I know at some point. I'm kidding.
There you go. That's your answer.
Like you worked with my dad for a while and you worked with my godparents for like a long time. So I mean that on its own
Yeah, that plays a huge
like holds. But like for example, I think a better example is like Andrew, because Andrew's someone that like because when I talk to my parents, like you come up as a topic of conversation because like you spend time with them, right?
Right.
So like it's always a conversation like how's Joey going? So like no matter what, just because you've spent time around people I'm like regularly in contact with, I hear about you like secondhand, which I feel like continues the friendship. But just in general, I think like you kind of receive whatever you put out there is what you get back, right? Like we don't have to be talking 24/7. Like there's no minimum of like if I don't call you once every 2 weeks, like we're not going to be friends anymore. I think it's just like important that every once in a while I reach out and that you feel like communicating back. Like there's just a healthy back and forth every once in a while.
So a little more on that. I know like with ADHD, it's very much out of sight, out of mind. And,
Yeah.
like sometimes when I don't know, it doesn't apply to us really. Like I know that not being like I have a friend who also has ADHD, Jake, and like he forgets about me, I forget about him. But like I do think about him often, and I do have the urge to want to text him, but I never do. But like whenever we do talk, it's kind of refreshing to know that hey, just checking in. Same thing with the Annie actually.
Yeah.
Like we've been on and off for the past couple of years, and it's just kind of nice to know that each other is doing well. And I think just keeping in mind that these people that you talk to, they're not going anywhere. And just when you get the urge to reach out to them, just do it. Really, just do it, and that can go a long way.
I don't think you'll ever get a negative experience from reaching out to an old friend.
Oh yeah, never.
Like even if it's out of sight, out of mind, like people generally enjoy like reconnecting with people.
Yeah, for sure.
So like I don't think that's something you should really worry about. Like unless you really want to make an effort to like stay in contact with this person and like talk and meet up with them regularly. If they're just someone that you want to stay friends with, I don't see any issue of like not communicating and then reaching out every once in a while. Like even if you forget about them, that's fine. Because most people will just like enjoy meeting up with you again. Unless like the only way I see that going bad is if like I was reaching out to you and then you weren't responding and I was like, okay, he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. And then like out of nowhere you throw me a text back.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened. I keep my friends pretty close. Probably a little.
Keep them really close.
You know what I mean.
Yeah,
there's been situations where you've called and.
I just mean that. Yeah, you've given me way too many personal details about your life. I just mean that like there is, as long as like the energy being sent is being reciprocated, I think it's fine. It's just if someone's like reaching out to you and for whatever reason you're not responding and then you randomly reach out back to them, I think that feels bad. Like that's the only scenario in which I see that going wrong.
So I want to have some closing thoughts on all
Mm-hmm.
of this, right? My question is, what is one thing you think people should understand about having a friend with ADHD? I don't want to say should, because I feel like that's implying that everyone has to know these things, but more so like people should take time to acknowledge in some way, shape, or form.
I think it's just what I said earlier. I think like you should award them more patience than you normally would. And that like you don't really have to understand, like I don't have to understand the way you think and feel about everything. Just like I think awarding you like some patience and then giving you some space is like more than I would normally. I think is the only thing that you should keep in mind.
Okay. So, yeah, so I mean, so just patience, making sure that, keeping in touch really goes a long way in maintaining, keeping friendships. I mean, take our story for example, a decade long. I mean, we do have a little bit of a family insiders. That kind of helps me a little bit.
Well, I mean that because like when we went on the walk to like the flower garden the other day,
Yeah.
and you kind of went off on your own just to kind of read and think. Everyone was wondering like, hey, where's Joey? Is he okay? They were asking me like a bunch because they were worried about you.
Mm.
But like, I understand that you weren't really looking to socialize. You were more looking to spend like a little bit of time to your own
Mm-hmm.
and like a nice place. And so, like, I think understanding that the fact that I understood that prevents you from getting annoyed. Because if I wasn't there, people would have been like, "Hey Joey, where are you?" And then you probably would have had like three different people like texting you and looking for you at that point, right?
Yeah. So that's actually happened quite a bit where I go off on my own.
And I understand you better because we've spent so much time together, right? And like I understand you're just looking for like,
So a lot of exposure really to someone with any mental disorder, and kind of taking the time to understand kind of their way of thinking goes, I think, a long way.
yeah,
In all
because
these
like
things.
I understand that you want to just spend some time alone, but like usually the typical behavior when you meet up with people is you want to spend time with them.
Mhm.
And so like I think to everyone else it's like a little off-putting because like why did Joey come here just to go to spend time on his own, you know?
Mm,
And
I
so
see.
they just don't understand like what's going on, right?
Yeah. I think I did go to, like, I went, because I do feel like I needed to get out of the house, get out of the apartment, whatever. And to me, like, it was a lot of like, okay, I need to get out of my head. I need to go, I guess, be somewhat social. But once I was there, a lot of the, I guess, shame and guilt really of being there kind of hit. And I was like, okay, I want to be alone.
Yeah.
But, anyways, I'm going to conclude this episode. This was Josh Billman, friend of 10 years. And I would like to hear some of your guys' stories on your friendships. If you have had any issues, what you've done to solve them, or some of your success stories. And stay tuned for the next episode. It'll be a solo episode. And I'll see you guys again next time.
All right, Archie. What do you have to tell the people? Do you have anything you want to say? Do you want to apologize for knocking over my camera? I guess not.
Aw.
Bye bye.
All right.